Hey guys, it's Simeon. This is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 11th of March 2020 to talk about everything that went down tonight on AEW Dynamite. I enjoyed tonight's show. I thought there was some good action on the show and whatnot. The ending of the show really kind of... Now here's the thing, and I'll talk about this in a moment. If you look at the end of this show from a standpoint of, well, this is how wrestling has always been, then you would think one way going into Blood and Guts. But at the same time, you got to think AEW has done some things non-traditional with the way they book feuds and the build-up to big matches. So I'll get into it more towards the end of this review. But just remember that things that happened may not be as easy or as predictable as it may seem, because AEW likes to break tradition here and there and not book like we're used to WWE booking. But with that, let's see who's here with us in the live chat right now. We do have Jonathan Powell. We've got Henry Carvalho, Krista McNutt, Wayne Montgomery, Milton Chavez. We've got Gregory Benson with the Super Chat donation. He states, my favorite guys in AEW on the mic are Jericho, Mox, and MJF. Just curious, Tim, who are yours? I mean, Jericho for sure. I mean, there's nobody right now in pro wrestling, I think, that cuts a better promo than Jericho. MJF is up there. I think the promo AJ Styles cut Monday was phenomenal, no pun intended, and he's up there with that one. AJ's usually okay on the mic to pretty good, but he was another level in Monday's promo. But as far as like consistently best on the mic, I mean, you don't get much better in pro wrestling today than Jericho's promos. We've also got with us Jack Dawson and so many more of you. Krista McNutt, I'll talk about that when we get to it because I have a 180-degree different opinion than you. So I'll talk about that when I get there in the review because I absolutely hated it. Speaking of tonight's AEW Dynamite, the show came to us from Salt Lake City, Utah, and the show opened with a video recap of last week's show. In a segment taped earlier in the day, Tony Schiavone interviewed Hangman Page, asking who his partner would be tonight. Page asked the Young Bucks to join him. Page said that he wouldn't team with Matt if he were the last man on Earth. I still don't get where this Matt Hangman stuff is leading to, because as I'll speak later in the main event segment, they're still beefing. He said that he would consider teaming with his younger, more talented brother. Page then said that his partner tonight is a mystery and walked off. Matt asked Nick to tell him that he wasn't considering teaming with Hangman. Nick walked off without answering. And here's my thing. If Matt is so goddamn concerned with he or his brother teaming with Hangman, then why are you teaming with him in War Games? Why is he one of your partners for War Games? I mean, I digress. Blood and Guts. Matt's an EVP. He can make that executive decision and say, no, yes, you're Kenny's tag team championship partner, but I don't want to team with you. You're not in this Blood and Guts match. So if Matt is that concerned about, I don't want to team with him, Nick, you better not team with him, then why are you guys teaming with him at Blood and Guts? That right there just doesn't make sense to me. If the whole thing right now coming out of today's show is that they still don't like each other and don't want to be partners, A, why did Matt save him earlier or later in the show? And B, why doesn't Matt use his EVP power and say, no, we're putting somebody else in this match in his spot like Dustin? That's something that just doesn't make sense. And there's that stuff that happens in AEW. And it happens everywhere, but it happens a lot more in AEW where there's storylines going on that connect to other storylines, and because they connect with the other storyline, it kind of doesn't make sense. With this one, it's the Elite versus the Inner Circle. But at the same time, we've also got Matt Jackson and Hangman Page do not like each other, do not want to team with each other, yet Matt's going to team with them in Blood and Guts. It just doesn't make sense. So Page then said that his... I already read that part. Page said his partner's a mystery tonight. So the show kicked off. First match of the night with Cody versus Ortiz. This was a fine little opener, but the in-ring action could have been better. And I felt like maybe it felt like it could have been better to me because they focused too much on the upcoming storylines and the stuff with Jake and Lance Archer and the upcoming Blood and Guts match. And it kind of seemed like this match was just there so the announcers and commentary can talk about that other stuff, to be completely honest. After a misdirection spot early in the match, Cody hit a power slam out of the corner for a 1. Jake Roberts and Lance Archer walked through the crowd, confirming that the man that Jake said is coming for Cody is in fact Lance Archer. They then took ringside seats to watch the action. Archer is, as I stated, the client of Jake Roberts. Cody and Ortiz brawled around ringside. Back in the ring, Ortiz took the ref, allowing Santana to trip Cody. Ortiz continued working on Cody's leg, then did some dancing. Cody and Ortiz brawled at ringside. Cody fired up and hit a forearm shot and an X-Plex back in the ring and did the 10 punches in the corner. Santana then took the ref again. Brandy Rhodes hit Santana with her belt. Ortiz hit a superplex for a near fall. I thought Brandy said a few weeks ago, I'm not going to be with Cody anymore. He's got Arn. I'm going to focus on Dustin and QT. I thought she said that recently, but whatever. Cody then did a tope suicida to Santana. Ortiz did a tope to Cody, but he got caught and dropped face first on the ramp. Archer teased jumping the rail, but then walked out instead. Ortiz blocked a disaster kick, then blocked a crossroads. Cody then hit a dragon screw from the ropes, then used a figure 4, and Ortiz tapped. So after the bell rings, Santana jumps in and hit Cody with a mad ball. Matt Jackson and Kenny Omega run down to make the save. Jericho and Sammy Guevara, along with Jake Hager, all appear on the screen. Jericho said Cody might have the upper hand tonight, but in 2 weeks, Jericho will beat the pumpkin-headed dipshits known as the Elite. Jericho said that they were wondering, hey, where's little Nick? And they should be worried about where Nick is. Cameras then pulled away to show Nick fallen, bloody, and crushed under a bay door. Matt, Cody, Omega, Dustin, and EMTs tended to Nick during the first commercial break of the show. So we then see that Nick gets put into an ambulance. Cody and Matt get into a car, follow the ambulance to the hospital. We assume they're gone, no longer at the building. And that's what they wanted us to believe throughout the end of the show. Next up, we had tag team action in the women's division. AEW Women's World Champion Nyla Rose and Bea Priestley, I mixed those names together, taking on Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. So they really make the reference just look dumb when they're like, because like when Chris Statler comes out and Justin Roberts does the whole making her way into the ring from the Andromeda Galaxy, then you got JR. He's like, Excalibur, can you explain to me where the Andromeda Galaxy really is? And then Excalibur goes to explain something about this whole alien gimmick, and then JR just goes on and just talks about the match or whatever. He doesn't even care. It's very weird and kind of like makes Chris Statlander and the gimmick just seem overly stupid. When Chris Statlander is a good wrestler, I don't think she needs this gimmick, though. I think it's hurting her more than it's helping. Rick Knox was the referee for this match, ringing the bell, and all four competitors were already in the ring at this point. Priestley and Rose attacked after the bell rang. Knox was aghast that these women didn't abide by the rules. Because, well, it's AEW. There are no fucking rules in tag team matches, as we've learned. So Shida hit Rose with a shoulder tackle, then was suddenly cut off. Rose hit a leg drop for a 2. Priestley and Rose traded quick tags and continued working on Hikaru Shida. During commercial break, Shida managed to tag in Statlander. Priestley cut Statlander off and used an octopus hold. Back from the break, Priestley tried a double springboard kick out of the corner, but botched it. Statlander hit a backbreaker. Shida and Statlander hit some tandem offense. Priestley hit Shida with a release German. Shida countered with a Shining Wizard. Rose then tagged in. She missed a top rope guillotine knee. Shida then hit an enziguri, then used the Falcon Arrow for a 2, with B. Priestley making the save. Rose and Priestley then teased a Doomsday device. Shida blocked it and then hit a superplex to Priestley. Rose popped up and hit a spear, then used a Beast Bomb to pick up the victory for her team. After the bell, Priestley laid out Nyla Rose with a belt shot. So it looks like B. Priestley wants to get her hands on not just Nyla Rose, but maybe the AEW Women's World Championship. Here's the thing. She's got to be around more often to make it up on the rankings. Chris Daniels did a spoof Dark Order video where at the end basically it just said, the Dark Order sucks. He said he's not the Exalted One. Grayson and Uno don't have any answers, and there is no Exalted One. Basically, Daniels challenged Grayson and Uno to a singles match. He said once he beats them, there is no Exalted One, and he'll prove the Dark Order sucks. So I guess his whole thing is, at least this is how I took it, and I could be wrong, but it came off as Daniels knows there is no real Exalted One, and that they're playing this up to make themselves seem more dastardly, I guess you can say. But I think there is a real Exalted One that even Daniels doesn't know about that's going to show up maybe next week in Rochester, New York. Just think who's from Rochester. Just think about it. Then we got MJF, the Butcher and the Blade, taking on Jurassic Express. This was one of those random, we're going to do this match in AEW just to get as many people on the show kind of matches, which they do a lot. Kind of like taking a book out of New Japan's, a play out of New Japan's book. Just a random multi-man tag to get a bunch of guys on the show. So MJF took off his ring jacket, and revealed that he's still wearing that shirt that says, I pinned Cody. He had it on last week too. They did some early comedy with MJF and Luchasaurus. MJF thought that he was going to be starting this match with Marco Stunt, so he turned his back. When he turned back around, boom, Marco had tagged out, and there's Luchasaurus. MJF begged off. Then Butcher and Blade attacked. I don't think Luchasaurus even got one offensive move in before he was cut off. MJF, Butcher, and Blade worked over his legs. After a commercial break, Luchasaurus managed to tag in Jungle Boy, who ran wild after an awesome hot tag. Marco Stunt jumped in and hit a tornado DDT to the Butcher. Jungle Boy hit a tope suicida on all three men. Luchasaurus then hit a step-up tope. Luchasaurus did a double choke slam on Blade and MJF. He then hit a standing moonsault for a near fall. Butcher and Luchasaurus traded strikes here. Marco Stunt and MJF ended up the legal men somehow. Wardlow took out Luchasaurus on the floor. The bunny jumped on the apron and distracted Jungle Boy, allowing Blade to shove him off the top rope to the floor. MJF then used the Salt of the Earth tap out victory here on Marco Stunt. Okay match. Again, like I stated, to me, it just felt like a random match to get guys on the show, because if you look at last week's show, MJF cut that promo stating that he wants Moxley and he wants a shot at the world title. So if you want Moxley and a shot at the world title, shouldn't you be doing singles matches to make sure you become or stay at the number one ranked spot? Not tag team matches and let other guys do singles matches to possibly jump you in the rankings? Just saying. They then aired a cool Darby Allin video. He dragged a Sammy Guevara dummy in a body bag behind a pickup truck. And then this god-awful bullshit. Tony Schiavone interviews Britt Baker. Healed it up on the crowd in Utah, and she brought Tony, a coffee. She said the crowd all looked related to one another. They had high BMIs, poor oral health, and that Utah was boring because caffeine and alcohol are frowned upon. She said that she was there to serve as a role model, and she said this I don't know how many times. She said everyone should follow their dreams of being janitors, construction workers, and dental assistants. To be honest, dental assistant is not just some random ass job. You actually got to go to school for that. So that one didn't make sense. I get it. A dental assistant is beneath her because she's the dentist. But you really can't put a dental assistant on the same level, no offense, to construction worker and janitor, because at least to be a dental assistant, which I know a few, my aunt is one, you got to go to school for that bullshit. So Big Swole interrupts, and this is where it gets bad. Baker goes and hides behind Shivani. Swole said, all Brittany does is talk. Britt said that the only wrestler in Swole's household that people care about is her boyfriend. And she goes, I'm married, honey. Oh, no. She goes, I take that back. She said honey later. She goes, I'm married, baby. And then Britt Baker threw some coffee in her face and ran away. So they made reference to both Cedric Alexander and Adam Cole on this show in the span of 30 seconds. Why? Because if the fans didn't know, and most fans probably don't know who Big Swole is married to, that wouldn't make any sense. You're not the only wrestler in your household that you're not the only wrestler in your household that people care about. People are gonna be like, well, who are they talking about? And then the whole Bebe thing. At least most fans know, Britt Baker is dating Adam Cole, whatnot. And especially if you do the Bebe, then there's your dead giveaway. But I didn't like this. I thought this was dumb. This was one of the lesser Britt Baker, Tony Schiavone segments. I think usually they're pretty good, but this one was dumb. And I think it was dumb from the beginning because I get the whole Britt Baker wants to be a role model thing, but she doesn't have to say it 5 times in the same promo. I'm the role model. I'm everybody's role model. I want to be a role model. Yeah, no, didn't work for me. It was horrible. I do want to let you guys know if you want to give me your thoughts on tonight's show, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. You can also put your comments and questions in the live chat, but the best way to make sure that your live chat questions do get read is to put them in as a super chat donation. Kristen McNutt, I see your super chat, and that's not AEW related, so I will get to that after the review. So next up, we got the first match. The first match as a trio of the Death Triangle. Pac, Pentagon Jr., Rey Fenix are now a trio, taking on the team of Joey Janela and Private Party. They got to be coming up with these 6-man titles sometime. I mean, you would think, because they keep having these trios together. They've now got the Death Triangle. This ain't the first time MJF has teamed with the Butcher and the Blade. There's got to be like some talks of trios championships or something. 6-man belts. Pac and Cassidy began in the ring with a nice sequence of drop downs and leapfrogs. Cassidy hit Silly String. Pentagon and Janela got tagged in. Penta went for Janela's legs with some kicks. Janela hit a tope. Cassidy got cut off during a picture-in-picture break. Janela got the hot tag after the break. He hit a tope suicida. Private Party hit Gin and Juice on Phoenix. Cassidy then hit a Swanton Bomb. Quinn hit a Shooting Star Press, but Pentagon broke up the pin. Death Triangle then went 3-on-1 against Mark Quinn. Phoenix hit a rope walk, springboard, double stomp for a near fall. Quinn hit a tope to the floor. Cassidy used Pac as a springboard and hit a dive to Pentagon. Janela hit a Death Valley driver on Pac on the apron. Janela then hit a top rope elbow on Pac for a 2. Pentagon and Phoenix cut Janela off. Phoenix hit a springboard cutter, and Phoenix and Pentagon hit their tandem double stomp package pile driver. Phoenix then hit a tope to Private Party. Pac hit Janela with the Black Arrow and pinned him to pick up the victory. Of course, this was obvious that the new formed Death Triangle was picking up the victory. Death Triangle then locked in triple submissions on their opponents after the match. Best Friends and Orange Cassidy ran down to make the save. Thought the match was pretty good. All the action here really flowed very well. A lot of high spots, but a lot of high spots that led to the next spot, and it wasn't just moves for moves' sake. Alexi was in the back with Dustin Rhodes. Dustin said whether Hangman likes it or not, Dustin is going to be his partner tonight because he's tired of the inner circle. He said they're going to do some cowboy shit. A few matches were announced for next week. Lucha Bros and Pac taking on Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. The Exalted One will be revealed, and a 6-man tag for the Blood and Guts advantage was announced as well. Also, we got the rules for the Blood and Guts match. 2 men enter the cage for 5 minutes. Every 2 minutes after that, another participant will enter. The match officially begins after all 10 participants have entered into the cage. The winning team is determined by making an opponent submit or surrender, no pinfalls. So they're going old school Warzone, not Warzone, sorry, I got Call of Duty on my mind. War Games rules where somebody has to basically give up for this match to end. You can't win by pin. You can win by submission, but you can't win by pin. That was the only difference from how WWE does it. WWE does do the pinfall. So Jim Ross then conducted an interview with Jon Moxley. Ross asked about Moxley's injuries and at the hands of the Inner Circle last week. Moxley said he's not feeling good and he's pissed off, but he's not going to elaborate. Ross said that Moxley and Hager are on a collision course. Moxley said he's never been hit harder than when he was by Hager, but Hager is just another guy. And I don't get why he and Hager are on a collision course. I thought he and Jericho were still on a collision course. Ross asked what's up for Moxley at Blood and Guts. Moxley said he'll be there. He said he's in Inner Circle's. He'll be in Inner Circle's blind spot, which should scare them if they're as smart as they think. There was a good idea. This was a good idea, but it was awkwardly edited and not as effective as I think they assumed it would be. Because why would they tease that he's going to interfere in Blood and Guts? Because he literally said, when Ross asked him, what's your plans for Blood and Guts? Moxley said, I'll be there, and I'll be in the Inner Circle's blind spot. He basically said, I'm going to interfere on behalf of the Elite. And if he does, they gave it away here. And if he doesn't, good, because I don't want to see him interfere. That's the whole point of the cages, is so people can't interfere. I hope there's a roof on this damn thing, like the real old school War Games and not WWE's War Games, because WWE likes to have no roof so people could jump off of it. I can see people wanting to do the same thing in AEW. I can see Nick Jackson doing like a 450 off the top of the cage, but we'll see. We saw Cody do his moonsault off the cage. Finally, moving to the main event. Before we do, I do have a couple text messages I do want to read. Chris McNutt with a super chat says, I think Lance Archer interferes with the Blood and Guts 2, attacks Cody to set up the feud between Cody Rhodes and Lance Archer. Again, I don't want to see outside interference because that defeats the purpose of the frickin' cage. NXT ruined it last week when they had so much stuff from Raquel Gonzalez in that match. This person here states, actually, this person here just got banned from ever texting again because they sent spam. Sorry about that. 404. You're going to send spam, you're going to be blocked. A WrestleMania question. Well, we'll get to that after the review. It says, do you think MJF should challenge Moxley for the world title or be one to dethrone Mox, or maybe not now, but introduce a mid-card men's title and put it on MJF? I think MJF having like a TV title is perfect. I can see MJF challenging Moxley, but I think to make him even a bigger star, a bigger heel, make him that first TV champion or middleweight champion, whatever you want to call it. So I can see MJF doing either one, to be honest, and it working out either way. I don't see MJF taking the belt from Moxley, though. I can see him challenging Moxley, but not taking the belt from Moxley. At 703, I don't understand it just says Britt Baker creative direction? ? I don't understand what you're asking. As we move on to the main event, it was Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes taking on the team of Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Jericho teased starting out with Page, but then tagged out right away. Jericho and Page did some comedy with fans' beers on the floor. Page punched Jericho, who spit the beer up in the air, and then Page drank some beer. Page tagged Rhodes, who hit some of his trademark spots. Guevara cut Rhodes off with a one-legged missile dropkick. Guevara and Jericho worked over Rhodes through a commercial break. Jericho tried a lion salt, but Rhodes got his knees up. Page and Guevara got tagged. Page hit a running boot to Guevara, a springboard lariat to Jericho, and then a fall-away slam to Guevara, and then a dive to Jericho. A lot of just boom, boom, boom here from Hangman Page, but it was fluid. Rhodes then hit a diving crossbody to Jericho and Guevara in the ring, while Page hit a moonsault off the post to the inner circle on the floor below. Page then tried the buckshot lariat, but Jericho blocked and went for the walls. Page fought out. Guevara tagged in and missed the shooting star press. Page took out Jericho on the floor with a rebound lariat. Inside the ring, Rhodes hit a destroyer to Guevara. Page followed this up with the buckshot lariat for the pinfall victory. After the match, the inner circle would jump in and beat down Page and Rhodes. Kenny Omega, broken hand and all, would come out to try to make the save, but got hit with a Judas effect. Cody has arrived back at the building, and he comes down to make the save. Cody ran wild at first before Jake Hager took him out with a nice amateur wrestling takedown. I think the announcers called it a belly-to-belly, but it wasn't quite a belly-to-belly. It was more of like an amateur wrestling takedown. Ortiz then hit a suplex on Cody on the ramp. Jericho attacked Cody with a chair. Inner Circle then dragged a prone Hangman Page up to the top and teased the Shield Powerbomb, or as they called it, the triple powerbomb, off the stage, just like they did to Moxley last week. Matt Jackson would then come out and make the save. Matt Jackson would take out all the members of the Elite, or of the Inner Circle, before looking at Page and flipping him off. Jericho would then appear. Cameras barely got this shot, basically missed it, but Matt Jackson took a chair shot to the face. Hangman then takes a chair shot, and the Inner Circle stand over Matt with the chair, the Inner Circle stand over Matt as Jericho's sitting on the chair, flipping off the camera. Cody is shown knocked out on the ramp. Kenny is knocked out in the ring. Matt and Page are still knocked out up at the top of the stage, and the Inner Circle stands tall. So this was WWE. You would think, okay, Inner Circle keeps getting the advantage. They got to lose. But we don't know. What if the Inner Circle picks up the victory inside of Blood and Guts? Just saying. They want to be unpredictable and flip the script. That's the way they can go. But like I said earlier, I don't get why Matt isn't like trying to get Hangman pulled from this match, or say I don't want to do this because Hangman's in the match. When earlier he said I don't want to be Hangman's tag team partner, and Nick, you better not be Hangman's tag team partner either. So it just didn't make sense to me. But that was AEW Dynamite. I do have a couple more text messages here. If you guys want to give me your thoughts on tonight's AEW Dynamite, you can do so at 510-906-1341 or by putting a super chat donation in the live chat. Your questions will get read. Person here says, can you see Matt Jackson being unable to compete at Blood and Guts, then Matt Hardy being his replacement? Why Matt Jackson? I would say Nick Jackson, maybe, based off the attack. I think they sent out a tweet stating that Nick is still in the hospital and is out, quote-unquote, indefinitely. Now, we know it's all storyline. Nick's not really hurt. I was shocked to see that Nick was there this week because last I heard, he was off the road until his wife gave birth to their third child. So I don't know if maybe this is a way to keep Nick off the road a little bit longer. But I don't see, maybe Matt Hardy, but I don't see it. This person here states, what will you think they would do with Britt Baker and the dentist gimmick? The same thing they've been doing. It's not really a dentist gimmick because she's not like Isaac Yankem who comes out and it has like the dentist garb on and all that stuff. It's just she's a female wrestler who, when she's not wrestling, is also a dentist. Her gimmick is not that she is a dentist in the ring. When do you think the Bucks will finally win the tag titles? I think they should win the tag titles in May at Double or Nothing. I think that would be the perfect time for the Young Bucks to be coronated as the tag team champions. And with that, I do want to touch on something that has been going around for the last couple of hours, and it has to do with WWE. Kristen McNutt had a question here saying, do you think Raw, SmackDown, NXT shows will be at the PC? So according to WrestleVotes on Twitter, and I want to look and see if he's updated his tweet since before we went live. WrestleVotes on Twitter. Hold on, before I even speak. WrestleVotes. He hasn't sent anything out. WrestleVotes tweeted, and I quote, this was an hour ago. WWE has had discussions this evening about relocating this Friday's SmackDown event to the Performance Center due to the virus. No word on if official or not as of yet. So he's not stating that this is going to happen, but discussions have happened about it possibly happening. There is a possibility that this week's SmackDown is not in Detroit, but instead in Orlando at the Performance Center, just like they did tonight with NXT. Now, it's a completely different situation. NXT had to run in the Performance Center, well, because they couldn't get Full Sail. Full Sail was being used up by Full Sail. But if there is a concern, WWE could run SmackDown or even Raw next week from the Performance Center. I don't know if it's going to happen. It has apparently reportedly been talked about, and we will monitor the story and monitor the situation. And first, as soon as we know anything on this situation, we will bring you the news. But as of right now, this tweet from WrestleVotes is all we do know. So with that, I do want to thank you guys for joining me here to talk about AEW Dynamite. I do want to thank everybody who watches later right here on YouTube and listens on podcast services all around the world like iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and so many more. With that, roughly hour and a half-ish, probably not that long, hour or so, we'll be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy, playing the brand new Call of Duty Warzone. Man, that game is fun. I will be playing that game over on my Twitch. And remember, if you do want to support us here at Pro Wrestling Unlimited, one way that could be free for you to support us is to head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy. And if you are an Amazon Prime member, then that means you are a Twitch Prime member. If you are a Twitch Prime member, then you can actually subscribe to our Twitch for free. To my Twitch, absolutely free. With that, any money I do make from Twitch does go directly back into PWU Unlimited. So that's why I'm asking for the support. Because, hey, YouTube's been down a little bit, so we need to bring in some revenue from other sources. And why not do it over there where at the same time, we're also giving you content because we're hanging out with you, playing video games and whatnot over there. May have an update on SmackDown this week. According to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, he does state that World Wrestling Entertainment has pulled the plug on Friday's SmackDown tapings in Detroit, Michigan, and will instead broadcast Friday Night SmackDown and 205 Live this week from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. PW Insider has confirmed with multiple sources. The decision was made due to the current coronavirus outbreak. So with that, an official statement has not yet been made by the WWE, but Mike Johnson was confident enough in his sources to report this. So it looks like SmackDown from the PC this week. If we do hear anything else on this situation, we will let you know right here on the Pro Wrestling Unlimited YouTube channel. Have a great night, guys, and I'll see some of you in a couple 30-40 minutes over on twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy.